Welcome to Forum 360. I'm Sally Henning. Our very special guest today is the Honorable Thomas M. Bernabei, the mayor of Canton, Ohio. Now, Canton is a city with over 70,000 residents. It's the home of the NFL's Hall of Fame, the McKinley Presidential Library, Museum, and Monument, as well as the National First Ladies Library and Research Center. Mayor Bernabei was elected just this past year. He is a lifelong resident of Stark County, a graduate of Lehman High School, Brown University, and the Ohio State University School College of Law. And Mayor Bernabei, in his spare time between college and law school, served our country, for which we thank you, for 4 years, including a tour of duty in Vietnam, although you don't look old enough to have been there at that time. Mayor Bernabei had the joy of practicing law with his father, Joseph, and also entered public service as an assistant prosecutor in Massillon Municipal Court before he served as assistant law director in Canton and was elected Canton Law Director in 1989. Mayor Bernabei was elected to Canton City Council and served a term as councilman at large. Later, he was director of public service in Canton and served on the Stark Area Regional Transit Authority's interim executive director in 2009. And he also served, again in his spare time, as Stark County Commissioner for 5 years. Mr. Bernabei is married to Bibi, who's a graduate of Canton Central Catholic High School, and they have 3 daughters and 5 grandchildren. What a blessing. Welcome to Forum 360.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you very, very much for inviting me today.
Oh, it's such an honor that you worked us into your schedule. We appreciate it so much. But I have to ask you, what has been the most exciting thing that has happened to you since you've been elected mayor?
Well, to go back a little bit, you read my bio, and so I have done a lot of things in my life. I have been involved in many political elections in my life and so forth, but probably the most exciting part of this whole process has been the election itself. Prior to becoming mayor, it was a rather unique election scenario in which I actually changed parties from a Democratic Party to an independent status in order to be able to run for mayor in the city of Canton. That was a case that involved a lot of litigation, and it actually went to the House Supreme Court.
Wow.
So that was very exciting, and then it was a very highly contested election. So election night was a great night. Inauguration day was a great day, and they were all very, very exciting days. And from that point forward, every day is a new challenge with many, many challenges to work on and many, many good things to work on. And being mayor has been both a challenge, but a great joy to me and to my wife in particular.
Now, people talk about how historic it is for the Cleveland Cavaliers to win their championship, and especially coming back from it. But when was the last time an independent won an election to be mayor in Canton? Has it ever happened before?
I think there has been an independent, but I think that has been many, many, many years ago. We've had a few Republican mayors, but mostly over the years, Democratic mayors, particularly lately. I think there are 16 elected office holders in the city of Canton, and they are all Democrats. So for me to win as an independent was unique and unusual, and again, a large challenge, but a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and everybody is wonderful that I work with, whether they are Republicans or Democrats. The people have been wonderful. Our council people are great. Our other elected officials, who I know well over the years and so forth, are wonderful people. And the people at large just have been wonderful. So it has been truly enjoyable.
Well, you mentioned challenges just now. For the future, what do you think is the most challenging in your role as mayor?
Well, the most challenging thing for Canton, and the same is similar for some of the older cities, Youngstown, Toledo, Cleveland is developing a lot, but Akron and so forth, and that would be the Ohio's and Northeast, the cities in Northeast Ohio as well as in the Northeast, and that is we have lost much of our basic industry. Therefore, we have lost a lot of our tax base. A large percentage of the population is statistically in poverty, and many other issues related to that. So again, I think the most difficult thing is creating and growing the economy, creating and growing the tax base in order that we have revenues in order to most efficiently deliver the services to the people and do the things that we need to do. This year, for example, when I became mayor, Canton actually had a $5.1 million deficit. So the first thing that I had to do on January 1 was to come into office and cut $5 million out of essentially a $50 million budget. So we cut essentially 10% of our budget. So that has been a difficult challenge, on a day-to-day basis, and that's a challenge that continues.
How do you do that? How do you go about getting people to work together to accomplish that kind of a cut? That has to have been very
That's difficult and that's painful. You know, fortunately, again, as my bio shows, I've had a lot of experience. Practicing a lawyer. I was the city's law director, and I did some other things and so forth. But again, my experience as a commissioner, we had similar issues in the commissioner's office, and you have to, by law, we have to balance the budget. And that's the starting point for any municipality or any local government. And when your revenues decrease for whatever reason, you have to bring your expenditures down, and we bring expenditures down through cutting as many things as we can in non-personal areas. But at some point, you have to deal with attrition and using attrition to reduce the number of employees. I think that we've reduced our general fund employees by 49 people this year. Some layoffs, try to reduce overtime, furloughs, things of that nature. So it is a challenge, and it's an ongoing challenge, but it's one that has to be done.
It's got to be painful at times.
It is, but I think everybody in government has been very, very cooperative. The unions have been extremely cooperative. Management and the departments have been cooperative and so forth. You try to show them the numbers. You make sure that they believe that the numbers that you're showing them with regard to your financial condition of the city, both revenues and expenditures, are real. You open up the books to them, and you have open and candid and free conversations with them. And I think when you do that, you win their trust, and therefore everybody works together. But it's difficult and painful, particularly for those who are laid off.
You're very modest. Not every leader that goes into having to make such changes can say that they have the cooperation both of other political folks they have to deal with as well as union leadership. That takes a great deal of skill.
Well, I'm fortunate, I'm appreciative, I'm grateful to the people that I work with, and that's what we hope to do. Again, just through dialogue, through communication, through meetings, no surprises. There's one basic rule, I think, of government and business and anything else. You try to work, with everyone else's knowledge and input and involvement, and that helps everybody to be rowing in the same direction.
I love the word surprises. Now, I know that your goal is no surprises, but there must have been some surprises to you as you took over the office, some things you didn't contemplate. What has been the most surprising thing that has happened?
Well, again, there are many issues and many challenges, but again, we deal with those. And I understood that because, again, I've been involved in government a long time. I've also had a lot of business involvement and legal background and so forth. So I understand that there are a lot of problems with all kinds of enterprises, whether they're governmental or whether they're private business or whether they're philanthropic and so forth. So we're used to that, and you just uncover a problem as you see one. You open the file as a lawyer, and as you've done in your lifetime, by the way, we study the issues, we bring in the people that are knowledgeable about it, and we work on them. So there were minor surprises in that nature. Just lots of good things, though. I don't know, with surprises on the good side. The most surprising part of this job, because I thought I understood it, I've been a county commissioner for 5 years. The county actually, city of Canton has 70,000 people in it, but Stark County has 375,000 people in it and 3 commissioners, so you have a lot of authority and actually a larger general fund budget and so forth. So I understood government, and I understand both the good side and the difficult side of it and so forth. But I guess the most surprising part to me about this job was not the running of government part of the job, but the demand of people to want to see you, to want to meet you. People
to
want
have you
to know
on
the
TV,
mayor.
to have you on radio.
To have you on TV. People want to know the mayor when they
Yes.
have an event. They like for the mayor to come out. They like for you just to shake hands. I have my picture taken, and it's frightful to me because I don't like seeing my picture. Taken 2 or 3 or 4 or sometimes 20 times a day, depending on where I am. People come up to you and actually ask to take a selfie with you, and this is all type of things that I've never ever experienced before. And again, as I said, I was a county commissioner and president of the board for 5 years, and it's a different level of exposure. But people are great, and there's good things happening in Canton.
Should I ask for that now, or wait till the end of the show for the selfie?
Let's do a selfie.
So you mentioned that there have been some good things. Let's talk about some of the good things, like the Hall of Fame festival that's coming up, and the planning for the Hall of Fame Village.
Two things.
Two
two
big
things are
things.
related, and there are 2 huge things. And the one great thing that the city of Canton has that nobody else, any place in the world or in the United States or in Ohio, can claim, and that is we are the home of professional football. And professional football is the most popular sport, and it's probably the most successful sport economically and so forth. So it's a tremendous asset that the city of Canton has. But we have in town, in the city, in the Hall of Fame, we have a new executive director, David Baker. And I don't know whether you've had a chance to listen to David Baker speak or not, but he's probably been the executive director for about 2 years. And our previous director, Steve Perry, did an extraordinary job. He came to us from national government
Sure.
as well as local government.
Sure.
But David Baker came with a vision to grow the Hall of Fame and to grow the museum into much more than what it was previously. We have a very large renovation of what is now known as Tom Benson Stadium. David Baker has very close relationships with Roger Goodell and with many of the owners in the NFL. And as a result of that, he has been able to utilize those relationships to develop more interest on their part in the growth of the Hall of Fame. So we're redoing the stadium, and it's going to be a fantastic stadium when it's completed. Half of it is done now. The field is ready to go for the Hall of Fame football game in late August. There's now a performing stage, which is state-of-the-art. There will be a Tug McGraw, excuse me, I always say Tug McGraw, that's a baseball pitcher. Tim McGraw.
Close enough.
I'm a rock guy, not a country guy. My wife is a country person. But, concert during Hall of Fame weekend. But the stadium is one part of it. So many other things. They plan to break ground for a 4-star hotel, which is just going to be phenomenal. I've seen many renderings of that.
Hall of Fame Village, is that what that's called?
Hall of Fame Village, that's going to be a mainstay of Hall of Fame Village. There will be a Center for Excellence. That's going to include an indoor area for conventions the size of a football stadium, football field, which can be used for football. It can be used for indoor basketball.
If you build it, they will come.
They will come, and it's going to be used just for really a corporate office for and headquarters for many different entities that have expressed a desire to be part of the Hall of Fame ethic, which is, work and excellence. And again, David Baker has brought these ideas, though, and just an extraordinary man. Again, 6'6", 400 pounds, and that's before he eats breakfast. And with a personality to match, and just a love for football, but very, very intellectual also. So just a tremendous visionary that's come to Canton, Ohio. So that's a great thing that's happened to Canton. So all of these things at the Hall of Fame are really going to be exciting. They're going to continue on for the next, the growth is going to exist for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. I think that presently visitors number approximately 250,000 to the Hall of Fame. That's
Or
up
more.
this year.
Or more.
That's annually, and they hope that they will grow that to 500,000 or to 1 million or to more. And they've just had a tremendous work ethic and vision going with it. This is a $500 million development.
Wow. You've been tuned in to Forum 360. I'm Sally Henning, and our very special guest today is Mayor Bernabei from the city of Canton. And we were just talking about Hall of Fame City and the amount of money that is brought into the community with the festival. What is your favorite part of the parade and festival each year?
Well, I'm going to tell you quickly, and so there are many, many, many things coming, but July 24th is kind of when it really kicks off. That's the community parade. And again, I'm looking at a schedule of events because I don't remember the dates. The 29th through the 31st, that is a weekend. That is the Balloon Classic, which is held out in Jackson Township. And that's part of Jackson Township's festival also. But the beginning real part is Thursday, August 4, and that will be the Enshrinees Gold Jacket Dinner. And that is a wonderful event intended by, I think, 4,000 people, and probably televised, I think, on the NFL Network. So beginning Thursday is the first large event. Friday, August 5th, there is a lunch and fashion show, but that is the night of the concert for Tim McGraw, and we expect that there will be 30 or 30,000 people in the stands for that. That was last year that they did that for the first time, and they had Aerosmith in, and that was sold out for Aerosmith, so it was a big thing.
Big entertainment, fireworks.
You got it. Saturday the 6th is the grand parade. 7 p.m. is the enshrinement ceremony, and that is always a moving event in which the enshrinees who were inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, in which they receive their gold jackets.
And how many different places are you expected to be during during all this time?
Not only expected, but I want to be there, but each and every one. So that's going to be great, and that's going to be fun, and that's going to be a lot of activity. And Sunday then we have this a round table, which has become a very popular event in which the enshrinees actually sit in an area and they actually take questions from the audience, and it's become a very popular event. And then Sunday evening is the Pro Football Hall of Fame game.
And
So it's a busy weekend.
And then even after that, there's some, excuse me, events for the volunteers.
Absolutely. During it, in fact, I think that the thank you for the volunteers, I think occurs actually before the weekend, but I'd have
Oh,
to
okay.
double check that date. That date is not actually on the schedule of events that I have in front of me. But we have
How do you keep
8 new
people-
inductees coming into the Hall of Fame this year, and it's going to be a huge year. And of course, this is the year that one of the most famous guys of all, Tony Dungy, the coach of the Colts, who everybody knows very well, who
Sure.
follows NFL football. But this is the year that Brett Favre comes in, and he is going to just bring a ton of people to Canton with him, because he's obviously one of the premier football quarterbacks that ever played football.
So do you have to coordinate with other cities in Northeast Ohio to make sure there's enough hotel rooms? And how do your people keep up with all of
Everybody,
this?
the Hall of Fame, and we have a wonderful convention and visitors bureau in Canton and in Stark County, and people come in and they book the hotels, and they book the hotel rooms, early on, and again, it's just a great week.
Do you also have to deal with the political things that are going on in a year like this, and make sure that there's enough security and enough?
Well, always, security at any event anymore, just because of the change in the issues associated with terror, internationally and nationally and so forth. Security has stepped up. Our Canton has one of the finest police forces, certainly in the area. They are very, very well trained. They work closely with the Homeland Security, with the FBI and so forth. So all of that kind of training and all of that is happening all the time.
And you bring in folks from other parts of the area, other parts of the state and the U.S. to bolster our own folks?
As necessary. Again, we have great help. We have a great sheriff, and Sheriff Meyer, who has been sheriff for about 2 years, and he does a wonderful job. So we have a lot of cooperation, again, from the county with regard to this, and from some of the other municipalities and law enforcement agencies that surround Canton. So it's all teamwork, and it's all good.
It all sounds so exciting. What are some of the other things that, as mayor, you're the chief salesperson for Canton, what are some of the other things that you talk about to encourage people who might want to invest in Canton or move to Canton? What are some of the things that you tout about the city of Canton?
We are really excited, and I don't know whether you've had a chance to go downtown Canton lately, but we're excited about downtown. There is a new enthusiasm and growth and vitality to it. We have a great arts district. We have one of the largest arts districts, if not possibly the largest one in the state of Ohio.
It is phenomenal.
Again, there are, I think, something like 26 or 28 museums. We have a well-known regional symphony, which is renowned for the area and so forth. But we have ballet, amateur theater, of course. But we have many, many art galleries, museums, and so forth. So that's a central area. Great number of restaurants, and they are growing and adding restaurants all the time. So that's been a great thing. Many, many great places to eat, just both for lunch and dinner. Gervasi Vineyard, which isn't in downtown Canton, but that's within the city, and that is a place to visit. That is a place to visit, in and of itself. A great and growing bar scene. Canton this year, and you're probably familiar with that, adopted what is called a DORA, which is a designated outdoor refreshment area. That is authorized by the Ohio Revised Code. It permits cities to create such a district. Canton is the third one in the state of Ohio that has done this, and the DORA enables people to, while they are downtown, to purchase an alcoholic beverage in a participating bar, in a cup that's marked DORA for purposes of carrying it outside, and you can then carry a drink and walk through downtown and go visit the
All the art galleries and
museums, art
museums.
galleries, and so forth. With a drink in an open container. So that's popularized attendance in downtown. We had our first opening of that, I think, on the first Friday in June, and every Friday in Canton is downtown is First Friday. And it's a major event sponsored by the Arts and Stark and the other downtown merchants. But that was the largest one I think we ever had. But that was the grand opening of the Dora District. So the Dora District exists every day from noon to midnight in Canton.
So First Friday, noon to midnight, is people coming downtown, and what kinds of numbers? So instead of downtown being closed down for the weekend and everybody going to the suburbs, what happens?
What happens is, again, on that particular First Friday, just downtown was packed. This past Friday and Saturday night, we had, among other things, the Italian American Festival came back downtown. That's been at the Stark County Fairgrounds for a number of years, but it was very, very successful, and just a lot of people. I don't really get attendance counts, but a lot of people were downtown.
Great
every
food,
place.
great
So
music.
great food, great music, and I'm Italian American, so it's all nothing but good.
What has been the best thing that has happened since you've become mayor from your point of view? What do you see?
I think the best thing, and again, I told you about the unexpected thing, was people wanting me to be places.
Everywhere.
Because again, I'm a lawyer by training, and I was always the guy in the commissioner's office and so forth that sits down and opens the file and works through the problems, and that's what I like to do, and that's what I still do. So the social events and the events where people want to see you and so forth are extra. So
You have a reputation for being very businesslike, being the first one to arrive in the morning to being the last one who leaves at night. That is your
that's it.
That's your
To me,
reputation
that's
in the
leadership.
community.
That's how you establish leadership. That's how you establish work ethic. You set the example, and again, you set it through honesty, openness, integrity, work ethic, and so forth. So you do that. But again, in the context of me having to go all these places, the best part of this whole job has been meeting so many, many wonderful people. Canton and Stark County has an extraordinary number of people that just have opened up their hearts to, who are volunteers for not only for things like the Hall of Fame and events of that nature, but we have so many volunteers working in our social agencies and in our churches and other services of that nature. And it is extraordinary, and every place I go, people are willing to help others, and they've just been extraordinarily kind and generous to me. And to my wife, Bibi. I have to always mention my wife, Bibi, who is the new First Lady of Canton.
Speaking of Bibi and your family, as you look back, who are the people or what are the things that have happened in your life that have helped you the most to be able to accomplish the things you're accomplishing?
Well, I will be 70 years old this year, so I have lived in Canton, Ohio. I was born here in 1946 in Canton, and really, other than leaving for short periods of time for college and
Short stint in
law
Vietnam.
school and the military, and then between the period of like about 2003 or 2004, I still lived in Stark County.
Yeah.
I lived in Jackson Township for a period of time until this past year. But I've always been a Cantonian. I've always had a job or an office or work in downtown. But I went to public schools in Canton, but the people that I owe, of course, are my mom and dad and my family. My dad was a lawyer, Joe Bernabei. He was a wonderful man who knew many, many people and just was a wonderful human being. My dad was 40 years old when I was born, so he was always a little bit older and so forth, but I was fortunate to practice law with him when I came out of law school for about 15 years before he passed away. But he
What
was
a
a
pleasure.
tremendous example to me, and I thank him every day. But my wife, my children, my grandchildren, hey, it's fun being a grandfather.
Tell me about the values that your father inculcated in you that helped you to get to where you are.
I think the most important, again, we had a family that read. Again, he is a lawyer. I think he was probably the first generation of Italian Americans that went to law school. In fact, I know that he was. So he would practice law in Canton for a long time. So just the example that he set, professionally. But we, read a lot, and grades were emphasized in school, and work ethic was emphasized, and just being good people, I think. Good and honest.
He would have been so proud.
I think that he would be.
So I have to ask you this question. Although you've accomplished so much and done so much, held so many offices and done so many things, I still have to ask you, what's next?
What is next?
What's next?
I'm
for Mayor
70 years
Bernabei?
old. I have 3.5 years left on this term. You know what, and strangely enough, I've never ever planned ahead because I really never thought that I would have a political career. If you notice the different things that I've done done something and then I would retire from it at the point in time that I had done it enough to satisfy myself and feel that I could leave it in a good position and so forth. So I've never stayed with it for reasons other than I enjoyed the challenges in doing them and so forth. So I don't know that at the age of 74 what challenges will face me. It may just be running for president of my nursing home class. I don't know. How's that for an idea?
Do you have any advice for children who might be interested at some point in time going into politics, maybe running for mayor? What should they do now to prepare themselves for a career in public service?
I think that the things that I did, and again, I never contemplated that I would run for elective office. I never ever thought about that ever until the opportunity offered itself to run for the city law director back in 1989 when there was a change. So I never contemplated it that way. You know, for me, what's worked out for me has just been working hard, getting good grades, I think, is a starting point. Going to college, I think, is important. Having that education and having the breadth of experience. The military obviously was a great background for myself and a great learning experience and a very different kind of a learning experience, but an important learning experience in my life. Law school obviously adds to your abilities to understand contracts and understand legal issues and labor issues and so forth.
Some of them anyway.
Some of them anyways. But so many things, you know, I was an assistant prosecutor, you know, I just got to do, just by chance, many, many different things, and I think all of that added up for me. But read, study, work hard, but always, always, always play hard as well. I think life is to be enjoyed, and I've had a great and wonderful life.
Our special guest today on Forum 360, Mayor Bernabei, working hard. On behalf of Forum 360, I'm Sally Henning.
Forum 360 is brought to you with support from Electric Impulse Communications, Kim and Harvey Nelson, Rubber City Radio Group, Acronist.com, Hudson Cable, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Forum 360 supporters, and the Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron.